G'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds and welcome to another Ask the Cheeseman. This one is episode 166 or 166. Thanks for everybody for turning up. It's lovely to see so many people in the chat, especially in, we haven't had many chats from Facebook because it's probably just started. And unlike YouTube, you can't jump in there and have a bit of a chitty chat before the show starts. Anyway, I'm very excited to... there's lots of photos in the gallery today, and we'll be doing that at 8:30. Somebody remind me, of course. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. Shout out to new YouTube member Ian Anderson. Thank you, Ian, for your financial support. And thanks to all the YouTube members. And you can see who they are in the chat if you're on YouTube. They've got, I think the name's in green, and they've got a little icon next to them. And it tells us how long they've been a member. But thank you to all those people who support the show financially. Now, over on Patreon, I've just turned on yearly memberships. That's a new thing on Patreon. So if you don't want to pay monthly, you can pay a yearly fee with a substantial discount. So new patrons over on Patreon are Rachel Mesham. I think that's how you say it. Thank you, Rachel. Daniel Price, thank you, Daniel. Renee Macazzo, sorry if I mucked that up. It's in French. You know how I am with French. But Renee, I got your first name right. Thank you, Renee. And Zach Bradbury, thank you, Zach, for supporting the show financially. Also, videos coming up. This week's video will be the mustard and dark ale cheese, which I made last weekend, and I've backpacked that, and that's in the cheese cave maturing now, and that turned out really well. I don't know how mustardy it's going to be because I didn't toast the mustard seeds on purpose because I didn't want, like, you know, totally it be mustard. So I wanted the mustard and the dark ale flavors to come out. So that's cool. And what else? I've also doing a technical video, which is about flocculation, the flocculation method of curd set. So I've done the filming on that. I've just got to do a little bit of other stuff to go with that. I'm also researching an ancient drink called Bland, spelled B-L-A-A-N-D, and historical records show that it could, and there's different variations of this thing. It's a whey fermented drink, so originates in either Iceland, Scotland, or Sweden or Norway, and there's various conflicting reports, so very hard to nail down a proper recipe, but I think what I'm going to do is make it up as I go along. So I'm going to make the mead version, which is part whey and part honey, and I was given some honey the other day, which is absolutely fantastic, from a little guy called Ron, who came and picked up an order. So I've got some honey, I've got some whey, and we'll be making a Bland video. So it'll be my version. It won't be, there's nothing authentic about Bland. It's just, some say it was just sour whey. Some say it was fermented to be sparkling. Some say they added honey to make a mead style thing. But yeah, it should be very interesting. Anyway, so another fermenting video coming up. Thanks to everybody. So many people in the chat. Let's go back to the very first one. Big shout out. Well, the first one I can see in the software is Ruth. G'day, Ruth. How are you? Lovely to see you. I got Patricia. G'day, Patricia. Heather. Hello, Heather. Ambrose from Wales. G'day, Ambrose. We've got Lordy. G'day, Lordy. Who else we got? We've got Evan. We've got Smith. We've got Donna. G'day, Donna. Lovely to see you over on Facebook from New Jersey, I think. NJ. Yep. Boris. G'day, Boris. Got Julia from New Zealand. G'day, Julia. We got Marisia. I think that's how you say it. G'day, Marisia. We'll get to your question soon. Jason. We've got the lovely Kim, who's moderating today, of course. We've also got Zom. G'day, Zom. Sam. Jason. Kapil. Mr. What the heck is that? Arleo. G'day, mate. We've got Martin from Scotland. We've got John. G'day, John. Scott. Connie. G'day, Connie. I've got Karen. Hello, Karen. And Tofty. We got so many. Bob. Kennel. What's that? YWG Jets fan. G'day, mate. Tom. Kim's got the links going already, which is fantastic. And Sticks, or STX, that'll do. And Aline, I think that's how you say it. Aline? G'day, Aline. Lovely to see you. All right, so let's get into the questions, because that's what we're here for, to ask home cheese making questions. So the very first question of the day is from Patricia. And Patricia says, wondering about your not really Appenzeller style, why did you use bee linens in the wash? And where did those wonderful holes come from, just using a thermo culture and no propionic Shimani? Yeah, good question, Patricia. I wasn't really expecting the eyes. They just kind of seem to be a bit of a byproduct. The bee linens wash was just to soften the paste a little bit, which helped a lot, and it gave it a unique flavour. But I only put the bee linens in the very first wash with mead. So put a bit of bee linens, some of the mead, and let that sit for, I think it was about 6 hours. I put it in the fridge in the morning, and then I washed it in the evening. And that was it. That was the only time the bee linens made an appearance. But that was enough, obviously, to start the colony and for it to go just a little bit orange. But I'm not sure where the eyes came from, but a lovely little surprise. If it happens for you guys, then so be it. But it may not, or may not happen. I seem to get eyes in things like Gouda as well, which I don't normally expect, and I don't add any propionic Shimani, which is a CO2 gas producing culture. So great question. Thank you, Patricia. Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, I'm not sure, says, I don't have a question. I just want to extend my thank you for your videos. I'm not looking at retiring for another 30 years plus, but I know that my retirement project will be cheese making. You don't need to wait for 30 years till your retirement. I started making cheese in 2009, and I was still working full time. It was just a weekend thing that I decided to do because it was just so much fun. So, and the results spoke for themselves, I suppose. So don't wait. Life's too bloody short, honestly. It is really too short to wait to make cheese. So go for it. Whew. Sorry, that didn't mean to turn into a rant. That was okay. Another question. This one's from Marisia. Maria, I think that's how you say it. Says 23-day-old petite blue, doesn't have a full blue mold coverage and has white mold growth. It's wrinkly, looks like Geo. Is it okay? Smells normal. Should I scrape off the mold before eating? Lots of good questions there. Yeah, if you don't have a full blue covering, that's okay. It's okay, because you got to remember that little cheese doesn't have eyes pierced. Sorry, eyes. I'm thinking about the old cheese. It doesn't have is not pierced, so there's no blue veins in it. It just makes the paste go runny. And if you've got a white mold growth and it's starting to look wrinkly, that's obviously Geotrichum candidum that makes a wrinkly white mold on the outside. And yes, you said that. If it smells normal, I wouldn't scrape the mold off. It kind of looks like a camembert. I think once you cut into it, you're going to get a gooey paste anyway, which is really the outcome with a little bit of blue flavor. But yeah, make it your own. It'll be fine. Very good. Thank you. Another question. This one's from Zom. Says, I want to know if that pepper cheese you made was a good burger cheese. I think you mean the triple pepper jack. It was a fairly crumbly cheese because it was quite acidic. So it did melt. We actually made some cheese toasties, or what do you call grilled cheese sandwich. And they were amazing. They were hot. I'll tell you what, spicy hot, but yeah, they were pretty good. I don't know, you couldn't really slice them. It was more crumbly, so we had to crumble the stuff. So really couldn't do much there. We've got our first super chat for the day. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Scott. And we'll get to that right now. So thank you for your kind $5 super chat. Scott says, I'd like to cut a wedge from my cheddar at 3 months. Would it be a bad idea to wax or rewrap the remainder to continue aging? I prefer not to vacuum seal. I think at 3 months, you may have already done it. I'm not sure. Clean my nose. What's wrong with my nose? There you go. Nothing wrong with it. I didn't think there was. Anyway, so lovely to get comments like that. Anyway, back to, I'd like to cut a wedge from my cheddar at 3 months. Would it be a bad idea to rewrap the remainder continue aging? No, I don't think that would be too much of a problem, but you're going to remember at 3 months, at 3 months, the flavor won't be very strong at all. So it's probably best to use a cheese trier. I don't know if you've got one. Let me just see if I've got a picture of a cheese trier. 2 seconds. And I'll show you what it looks like if you haven't seen one before. Equipment. Cheese trier, because we do have them on the website. Let me just see if the screen sharing thing works today. Yep, okay. There we go. So hopefully, and I'll just hide the comment, there's a cheese trier. Let's just see if that's actually working. 2 seconds. And I'll see what it looks like in the replay, if it's working at all. Oh, yes. Fantastic. Right. So a cheese trier. Let's look at the full picture. So it's a little instrument that you push into your cheese, and it can be any semi-hard cheese. And it you twist it, get a plug, pull it out slowly, taste the inside of the cheese. The center is what you're trying to taste, and that's the best place to taste it. Pinch off a bit of that, taste it, and push the plug back in. And that way you don't actually wreck the cheese when you're aging it. That's the best way. So yeah, I would do that instead. Anyway, so yeah, cheese trier. See if you can get one of those. Alrighty. Next question. So hopefully that helps, Scott. All right, let's get back to where the other questions are. Alrighty, so next question is from, well, it's probably a statement. This one's from Kapil. It says, "Hi, cheese. Hello, cheese man." Yeah, that's me. I tried your cheese recipe and it was amazing. Love from India. I'm not sure which cheese recipe you're referring to, but yeah, that's cool. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Mr. Alio, Yep, I think so. So can I keep whey in the freezer and use it to make the next batch without a starter culture and mold? Yeah, a lot of cheesemakers do that. They don't actually keep it in the freezer, though. They keep it in the fridge. However, when you make a mother culture, which is a little bit different than a direct vat inoculated culture, people tend to freeze those. So yeah, you could. Probably the best way to do it is to put it into a small container and freeze it, and then just before you start the cheese making again, then put that into let it defrost, and then put it into the milk. Let it come up to room temperature, and you should be fine. Okay. Martin says, hi, Gavin and Kim. Hope you're well. Hamish too. Making camembert, so we'll probably not be able to watch live. I need my cheesy focus. Pretty late to be making camembert, but well done, mate. Yeah, hats off to you. And thank you for the kind wishes. This one's from John. John says, good day from New Jersey. After you first cut open a wheel of cheese, how should you store the parts that won't be eaten within a few weeks? Can half a wheel be resealed for continued aging? Yeah, kind of goes on from the last question. Yes, you can. When I first open a wheel of cheese, I open it when it's mature. So when I think it's mature. So for a cheddar, no less than, say, 6 months. And the other parts, I basically vacuum pack anything else that's left over and store it in the kitchen fridge. That way it doesn't kind of age any further and you don't have too many issues with it. So yeah, so I just cut it into quarters, put it in the fridge. It stops aging. It stays at the flavor that I wanted it to be at, and it doesn't dry out, which is fantastic. So get yourself a food saver or some sort of vacuum packing, just in the plastic bag, and that'll be fine. Okay. This question's from Lord. He says, do I have advice for Bel Panol or Crescenza? The Crescenza, I think I made a version, Stracchino and Crescenza. I think it's a similar sort of cheese. So go and check the video out for that. If Kim can find the video for Crescenza, then that'll be good. Bel Panol, I haven't made that yet, but it's a very firm, fresh cheese that's then covered in cracked pepper, and then it's aged until it's kind of hard, semi-hard, and then it's grated. It's a grating cheese. But yeah, it's on my list of cheeses to do this year, so I will be making Bel Panol, and there is a very good recipe over at cheesemaking.com, written by Jim Wallace. For those who want to know. There's a question from the world's worst chess player. Very cool. It says, hi, Gavin. I only have one question, and you may think it odd. I have seen cheese aged in hay before. I was wondering if cheese could be aged in grain, such as covered with barley or wheat. I don't know. No, I don't know the answer to this one. Sorry about that. Yes, I do know cheeses aged in hay, and mainly it's cheeses like Mimolette, which within the hay as well, there are cheese mites, and that's what causes the wrinkly exterior of the cheese, and it's very orange inside. But yeah, never seen anything covered in grains per se. So, but yeah, good idea, but I don't think I'd try it. Somebody's asking, how do I do super chat? And Karen's got the answer. It says, look for the $sign on the right-hand side of the chat box. I can't see it on mine because I'm the administrator, but yeah, you can do that. And that's only in Facebook if you want to do it. Sorry, not Facebook. It's not in Facebook. It's in YouTube if you want to do that. Okay. Kapil says, tomorrow I'll be trying your cheddar cheese. Your mozzarella recipe was amazing. Oh, okay. So that's what you're making. Well done, mate. Okay, moving right along. Okay, so Gavin, hi. What is it that makes a cheese melt? What is it? The type of culture, the temperature? I'm after a really good flavored melting cheese. Any recommendations? Yeah, I think Kim put the link, Tofty, to the American cheese, which is the meltiest cheese because it's got sodium citrate in it, which is an emulsifier, and it helps the fats to stay together when cheese melts. So sometimes when you melt a not so good cheese, I suppose, you will find that the fats separate from the milk solids and it looks horrible. When you add sodium citrate to any cheese, and you'll see if you go to the American cheese video that Kim's put the link up for, you'll find that it stays all together and it's the best melty cheese. So just make a normal cheese or something like that, and you shouldn't have too many problems making this American style cheese. Okay, got another super chat going on, which is fantastic. Thank you so much. This one's from AA. Thank you for your $5 super chat. It says, I've heard of people vacuum packing cheese right after air drying to avoid mold growth and minimum maintenance. Thoughts? Also maintaining cave humidity. Indeed, that's kind of what I do as well. Vacuum packing cheese after it's air dried. Yeah, make sure the surface is touch dry for sure, and never vacuum pack or wax any cheese that's moist, because yeah, you're certain to get off flavors and possibly mold contamination. So make sure it's dry, and yeah, it does. It's the same as waxing, basically. It's the modern version of waxing cheese. So that's all there is to it. You don't need to maintain humidity in the cheese cave at all if you vacuum pack your cheese. So no problems there. But thank you for your kind super chat. I appreciate it. Right, so scrolling back to where we were on the little chatio. Where was I? I'm not going to get to all the questions today. I can tell there's so many of them. Just trying to find out, where are we? This will, where are we? No, there we are. That's where we're up to. Sorry about that. Tom says, is there a, how about making the ancient Japanese cheese called so? I will write it down and have a look. I haven't seen any recipes for it, so I'm not sure. Got another super chat going on there, which is fantastic. Let's get to that one. This one's from Andrew. Andrew, thank you for your kind. Oh, better turn the sign off. Oh, goodness me. Thanks for your kind $5 Aussie. Beauty. I want to mix it up and make some sheep's milk cheese. Any advice on dairies or other places that sell sheep's milk in New South Wales or Victoria? Good question. I was gifted some milk from Graham Strong, who runs a sheep farm called Arcadia Saltbush Lamb. Now, he was milking his sheep there for a while, so I'm not sure. You might be able to, he's got a Facebook page. You could reach out to him. It's the only one I know of. I know there are a few sheep dairies. There's one in Tasmania. I'm not sure of any others, so I couldn't really help you. As far as goats dairies, there are a few in Victoria, but not sheep's milk. But if you can get some, it's great milk to work with. I made the Pecorino Romano and a Pecorino Ricotta Salata, and those two cheeses just blew my mind. The fat content of sheep's milk is really high. Sets a fantastic curd, great milk to work with. So it's very rich and creamy. So if you can get your hands on some, yeah, you might have to Google, and Google is your friend if they don't ban search from Australia. But yeah, so you can try that out. Arcadia Saltbush lamb is, I think, the name. So I hope that helps, mate. Okay. Getting back to where we were before, there was some comments about bland, I think, somewhere. Let's have a look. There's the question. Right, so here's one. This one's from Scott saying, my wrapped cheddar has a few mold spots. Is it better to unwrap it and remove the mold immediately, or is there any reason to wait longer? My wrapped cheese has mold spots. Don't say what cheese it is. So very difficult, Scott, to figure out what it is. So if it's wrapped, I would assume it's a white mold cheese. It should have mold spots on it. Not sure. But yeah, if you can amplify, that'll be great. We'll get onto that. Somebody was asking questions about government cheese. I think it was answered in the comments, so I won't do that one. This one's from Aline. Says, honestly, I wish I could order your cheese online, but my 2021 goals is to put a couple of cows on my farm and make my own cheese. Thank you so much for all the info. Yes, Aline. I suppose the people I'm trying to reach are not people who buy cheese. There's lots of wonderful artisan cheese makers here in Australia. So I don't think anything I do there would be advantageous to anybody. What I'm trying to do is teach cheese making at home to the world. So it was a lost art. I'm trying to bring it back. And I think by looking at so many people on the stream and so many people that watch my YouTube videos, that is certainly happening. People are learning again how to make cheese like they did in the old days. Well, not like they did in the old days, but with a modern version. They can make it in their own kitchen, give it to their friends. It's like the new version of home brewing, like that was crazy in the 70s where people would make their own beer. But anyway, I know people make their own beer now, but yeah, cheese making at home is a cool thing. But all the best with your cows on your farms, and yeah, have fun with that. Okay. Somebody must have asked a question about shipping to the UK. Kim's mentioned that unfortunately we cannot ship to the UK due to the new rules regarding duty tax, which is indeed the case. It means I have to collect all the tax. We've currently opened up shipping. I don't know if anybody's seen the video, but we have opened shipping to New Zealand, Canada, the United States, and to Turkey, who's not part of the EU. And I think Sadie is on the chat, and he placed an order the other day. That was cool. But yeah, so they're the few countries, plus Australia, of course, all over Australia. So if you're in Australia, go for it. But yes, no shipping to the UK until they change their rules. Let's have a look. There's a question here from Regilio. I think that's how you say it. Good day, everybody. I'm in the process of making a 2-pound gouda, but I'm a little confused as to how long to press. Some say 3 hours, some say 12 hours, also brining, some say 2 hours, others say 8. Which is the correct one? Go and check out the recipe for gouda. There is a really good video I made making gouda with a Lauder mold. Lauder's a company in the Netherlands that make cheese molds. So, Regilio, go and have a look at that video. And Kim, if you haven't already put the link up, please do so. That would be great. And that would help. Okay. Kim's put a link up there for Tome. I'm not sure why. Somebody must have asked for it. Marcel says, hi, Gavin, I made you a little Burt recipe today. Busy draining now. Yeah, they're lovely little cheeses. Just make sure that the initial temperature, the ripening temperature, is quite low. So it has to be about 7 degrees Celsius. So that would be good. Because if you have the temperature too high, you get too much proteolysis, which is breakdown of the proteins, and it makes it really runny really quickly. So it is best to make sure that the initial the 10 days where the mold's growing, around 7 degrees Celsius is the best. So good tip there, Marcel. A question from Stephen says, have you had an experience using a sous vide to hit and maintain proper temperatures when making cheese? No, I don't, but I do own one, and I just haven't got around to making a video about it. That is one of my plans for 2021, is to start making cheese using my sous vide, but I would have to get quite a large container to make the batches, the sizes that I make. So it'll be a bit of an experiment. If it doesn't work, I'll just go back to my old method. But yeah, I will be using a sous vide. I own one now. I haven't taken it out of the box. Hopefully it works. So it should be good fun. Okay. John says, maybe somebody can make a match with a Canadian person here for UK shipping and will be the intermediary, costly but workable. Yeah, I've actually had somebody reach out to me in the UK to be an intermediary, but I haven't worked out the details. I don't know if it'll work out, so don't get your hopes up for anybody in the UK, unfortunately. The cost is fairly prohibitive to the UK anyway, as we've seen in the past when people have ordered just a single cheese, the 165 cheese basket. It's cost them nearly like £50. That's without for shipping, just for shipping, express shipping. And then the UK government throws on VAT, which is like 30%, and then they throw on a duty on top of that. So it's kind of not, if you can get it in country, then do that, unfortunately. Righto, we've got a question from Donna. Donna says, I aged a washed rind cheese for 3 weeks with bee linens, then cut. Only the outer 1 centimetre was creamy and the centre was a bit crumbly. Should I have aged it longer to get the centre creamier? Yeah, indeed. 3 weeks is nothing. It takes a good 6 to 8 weeks for those bee linens cheeses to become a smooth paste all the way through. More towards the 8 weeks mark, really. So yeah, age it longer. The bee linens was doing its work. It works from the outside in. So that's the reason why. But yeah, great question, Donna. It's 8:30. Did anybody remind me? No. Kim's not reminding me, but right, it's time for the gallery. And I don't have any gallery music, but let's see if I can get the gallery to work. First time. Here we go. Bang. Right. I'm hoping this is working. All right, so let me just confirm that. Sorry, I'm going to break the third wally thing again. Just sneaking, seeing my head in the replay and waiting for the picture to come. Yay, it's working. Right, there we go, back again. Okay, so this one's been sent in from Amir Fahim, and I think he's from a university in Egypt. And he sent me a picture of the world's oldest cheese. This cheese was found in a tomb in Egypt in Saqqara. I think that's how you say it, Saqqara. It was 4,500 years old, and that is amazing. So cheese making's been going on for that long. From the other research that I've done, this was a soft lactic set cheese. It also had a bacteria that made you very sick in it too. They found traces of that, which I can't remember what it was. Yeah, so this cheese was evidence that it's been going on for a long, long time. Thank you very much, Amir, for sending it in. This cheese is from Cease Siegel, and she's got a dry jack rubbed with olive oil, cocoa powder, coffee, and black pepper, and it was aged for 4 months. It looks absolutely fantastic, and I love the way that it's molded using the bag, not the bag, the cheesecloth. So that looks really good. Well done, Cease. Should be proud of yourself. I bet it tasted good too. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions. This one, couple of photos. This one's from Clive Padden, and he's made a couple of cloth-bound cheddars. So the first one here that's looking very moldy, which is perfect for a cloth-bound cheddar, is a red Leicester. And then he's got another one that's just started, and that's Lancashire. Lancashire, I think that's how you pronounce it. So got a nice Lancashire cheese there as well as the red Leicester. Looks like a jar of Vegemite there. Very cool in the background. Anyway, moving right along, and very nice cheese as well done, mate. This one's from Craig Wheeler, and Craig has made his first blue cheese, which is a Roquefort. To really be called a Roquefort, it needs to be sheep's milk. Craig didn't say whether he used sheep's milk or not. So if it was just cow's milk, which the color kind of indicates, Roquefort's a pure white sort of cheese. So if it's made with cow's milk, it's just a blue. So I wouldn't call it Roquefort. Mind you, Roquefort's an AOC cheese, so I probably wouldn't call it anyway. I'd call it a blue sheep's milk cheese. But looks very nice, fantastic veining there, and I bet the taste was fantastic. Well done, Craig. Okay, so some from Herb. I had to, the photo was really dark, so I had to kind of enhance it, and I don't think I've done justice to it. These are some smoked cheeses that Herb has smoked in his cold smoker, which we'll have a look at in a second. So he's got a farmhouse cheddar, Cotswold, Asiago, and a saffron cheese, saffron-infused cheese. And he smoked them all, and he said they all tasted fantastic. So there's his home cold smoker. You notice down on the left-hand side, there's a little smoke box, which pushes the smoke into the smoker itself, and there's a picture of it inside, very smoky. So there's a lovely smoky picture there, and there's the cheese inside the cold smoker. So cheese is best smoked cold. Now, I haven't done it myself. I bought a cold smoking little kit, not a full thing like this, and I'm going to use my barbecue, but it's got to be fairly cool to cold smoke. Anyway, moving right along. Thank you very much, Herb. This one's from Judy McDonald, and Judy's made a fantastic gorgonzola. She's made the Dolce, which is the fresh one. There's a gorgonzola picante, which is an aged one, and it's very very sharp. This one looks great, great marbling, great outside coverage of blue, and she's done very well. So it looks absolutely lovely. Well done, Judy. The next one is from Patricia, who I think is in the chat as well. This one is a Stilton that she made. Looks like she's scraped the blue mold off the outside of the cheese, but fantastic marbling all the way through, and it looks like a cracker of a cheese, no pun intended. But well done, Patricia. That looks absolutely fantastic. I think that's the end of the gallery. It is. So thanks one and all for sending in your photos to the gallery. The best way you can get the photos to me is via my email address, and you go to the About tab of the channel that you're watching this video on. And there's a little Contact Gavin button there in there somewhere. That's the best place, and the email address will be revealed after you tell them you're not a robot. And shoot it to that email address. And that way that I will get the photos in one place and won't have to go hunting all the other places people send me photos. But thank you so much to everybody who sent photos in today. And all your cheeses look absolutely amazing. I wish I had them all on a plate in front of me and I could eat them right now. But absolutely fantastic. Well done. Okay. Moving right along. Question from Russell. Russell says, hi, Gavin. I made a batch of your mead last week and it's bubbling along well now. You tasted your first bottle at 6 months. How long should I wait for best results? It took about 4 months to totally clear out, and most of the stuff that you put in, like the oranges and all that sort of stuff, into to sink to the bottom and for the mead to go totally clear. So about 4 months, there were no more airlock activity. I left it another month just to make sure, because it was the first time I ever made mead, so I wasn't sure. So yeah, 4 months you could probably bottle it, but it's up to the conditions and the temperature. Now I made it in winter, and the internal temperature in our kitchen was probably about 18 degrees Celsius. So it wasn't the most violent fermentation. Nothing bubbled out of the airlock or anything like that. So yeah, about 4 months. When it starts to clear and you think it's clear enough to go into the bottles and fermentation stopped, then that's the best time to, yeah, you could taste it then. I think it'll be okay. But bottle it for a little bit longer and taste it after that. Great question. Thank you, Russell. Marcel says, I made some sodium citrate today. Well done. Well done, Marcel. We'll be trying your American cheese recipe tomorrow. It should go off very well. Okay. Another question is from Monique. And Monique says, if cheese triers are too expensive, try getting a hole cutter tool normally used for clay and ceramic work from Etsy, around $30 for a set of 3. Hope this helps my fellow curd nerds. Indeed. And another tool that I've seen that people use as a cheese trier is an apple corer, Monique. You know, that you put it in and core the apple. You can use that at a pinch, but it's very hard to get the little plug back out of the apple corer. That's the only problem with those. If you've got small fingers, that'll be fine, but my big chunky fingers won't fit through the apple corer thing. But yeah, great suggestion. You can use those. We do sell cheese triers, and they're not that expensive, really. Some of the cheapest ones I've seen around from cheese suppliers. So if you're in the countries we ship to, then grab yourself a cheese trier. Great little tool. Okay. Next question is from, well, it's a statement from Roddy. Says, you are the reason why I started to make cheese. Thank you. I don't know if that's a curse or a thank you. But yeah, no problems, Roddy. Happy to help out, of course. Tom says, I've had some mold start to grow in a vacuum-packed Buddha. I slowly poured boiling water over the growth area and it went away. Will it hurt the aging process much? Ooh, I don't know if I'd be pouring boiling water on the outside of my cheese, but yeah, that'll work. That's one way to get rid of mold growth under the vacuum pack. What I tend to do is take it out of the vacuum pack, so cut it open, and then wash it with a simple brine solution with a little bit of vinegar in there. That inhibits the mold. Let it air dry for a day and then re-vac pack it, and that way you won't have any more mold growth. Probably the best way to do it. Melanie says, I'm in the US. Where can I get the same brining box that you use? Nowhere, unfortunately, Melanie. It's because that brining tub thing that I use is a culmination of 2 products. So there were 2 products from Decor Australia, which is an Australian plastic company. One was for, what the heck was it? A rice cooker. And then there was another box that I've had that had cracked, and it had that little mat thing that you see me use to push the cheese down. Look, any plastic tub will do. Honestly, I don't know why people get so hung up about this, and it's nothing. I'm not being nasty or anything. I'm just saying that any plastic container will do to brine your cheese in. The cheese will float naturally to the top if you've got the right salt percentage in your brine. Just sprinkle a layer of salt on the top, on the exposed side, and then at the halfway time, turn it over, sprinkle salt on the top again. That's what cheesemakers have been doing for thousands of years. You don't need a special little container. I just happen to have one because I made one, and I cannot find, I'm not going to buy 2 containers to break them up and sell them as one. So it wouldn't be cost effective. But if you can find something like that, it's fantastic. If not, don't worry about it. Any plastic container or stainless steel container will work for brining your cheese. Okay, got that off my chest. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to be a rant or anything. Okay. Yep, Lordy has said exactly the same thing. Thank you, Lordy. Question from David says, I tried to make ricotta using 24 cups of leftover whey. Got it to 200 Fahrenheit and added a third of a cup of distilled white vinegar. Only saw a very small amount of curdling and hardly enough to make and any tips. Depends. No, see, the ricotta depends on the type of whey that you used. If you used whey from and it wasn't cloudy, then you're not going to get much out of it at all. There's not much body in whey. That's why when they make it, they make it with a lot. So I use as much whey as I possibly can. You don't get a lot unless you add a little bit of milk in there, and you'll see most recipes you add in extra, like a liter of milk or what have you, to get a little bit more body in your ricotta. But like I said, if you're using an acid set cheese, then you're not going to get hardly, and the whey's clear, you're not going to get hardly any ricotta at all. Okay. There's a question here. Melanie says, I like his boxes and want to get the same kind. It's a space saver for me. Actually, I have Melanie, back on the subject of brining boxes, those ripening boxes that I use, the red ones with the little mat in them as well, I've actually used those to brine cheeses like camembert and stuff like that. Very small cheeses. I know you dry salt camembert sometimes, but sometimes I make a version where I brine them. But yeah, you can brine cheese in those little boxes as well. They're about 3.5 liters. So moving right along. Here's a good question. This one's from Josh. It says, do you know why pregnant women can eat hard cheese but not soft cheese? Usually it's because they're told not to eat blue cheeses and any soft style cheeses because of listeria, I think, and botulism is the worry. Usually it's raw milk cheeses. If the milk's been pasteurized, then not so much of an issue. But yes, and yeah, it's just a common sense. Dan says, you've been a great inspiration. I now have a new cheese a week using your YouTube videos. Thank you, Gavin, for all you do. Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate it, mate. Let's have a look. Wendy has said that she is making a Valence type cheese today. Fingers crossed. Well, best of luck there, Wendy. I hope it all works out well. Yes, Karen has kind of amplified on that comment around cheeses made with raw milk. Pregnant women should avoid them, but cheeses aged over 60 days will be safe. Yeah, indeed. So yeah, thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. Moving right along, got the section where people are saying great cheeses. Well done. There's a question from Marija again. My Petite Blue is soft around the edges. Is it maybe ripening enough? Also, Roquefort recipe calls for aroma B. Can I use Flora Danica? Thank you for the answers. Yeah, aroma B is almost the same as Flora Danica, so yes, you can do that. Your Petite Blue will be soft. They'll be runny in the middle. So yeah, I think they're ripening quite well. So it sounds like. And goodness me, I should have read the next comment. Patricia says aroma B is a good substitute for Flora Danica, or vice versa. Alrighty, very cool. Who's this? Michael says, I just tried your recipe to make mozzarella today. I'm still hoping it will get to the clean break, but my hopes are low. Is there anything I can do? Yeah, have a look at that recent mozzarella video that I made, and you'll see you don't necessarily get a clean break. It looks kind of like scrambled eggs, and it works out fine. So go and check that out if you're in any doubt. Who's this? This is from Annette. Says, hi, Gavin. The cultures I purchased from Green Living Australia in Queensland, they say their cultures are pure with no fillers. if you use 1/4 teaspoon from Mad Millie, how much of the purer cultures would I use? Okay, so I sell those cultures as well from Green Living Australia and the Mad Millie ones. The Green Living Australia ones are Sacco. They're an Italian company, and yeah, they don't have any lactose fillers. So if your recipe says 1/4 teaspoon with Mad Millie mesophilic, then I would go down to about 1/16 or 1/8 of a teaspoon for the Sacco cultures. They are very strong. So hopefully that helps. Scott says, my cream cheese came out too tart. Could this be caused by leaving it out or hanging too long? Yes, indeed. The longer you hang it, the tartar it gets. The less you hang it, the smoother it is and the less tart. Also, you can ease off maybe on the, not the hanging, but if check when it's set. The longer you leave it at room temperature setting, the longer the lactic bacteria has to consume lactose, and the tart, the more acidic it gets. Okay. Next question is from Roddy says, why does my cheese become slimy after being in my brine? Your brine should also have some calcium chloride in it. It should also have some vinegar in it. The pH of brine should be about 5.5, a pH of 5.5 to 5.6. And that prevents calcium ion exchange between the brine and the cheese. It's the calcium ion exchange that causes the cheese surface to become slimy. So just make sure the acidity, and there's a bit of calcium chloride in there to stop that exchange of calcium ions between the cheese and the brine. Also, your brine should not be hot. It should be at about room temperature, so between 21 and 13 Celsius. I normally brine my cheese at room temperature. Some people say you should brine it at around 13 degrees, so back in the cheese cave. You can do that if you're getting this slimy thing, even with those additives, so that could help. Next question, what time is it? We've got 8 minutes to go. So we have got just a statement from Patricia. It says, the best containers I've found for brining and aging come from secondhand shops like Value Village and Sally Ann, which I think they must be shops in Canada. But yeah, the plastic containers are plastic container. I think they're pretty cool. But yeah, just use your imagination. Cheese making's all about improvising and stuff like that. I've got a lovely little icon-y thing going on YouTube. It's a little pear character. Lovely. I love it. It says, thank you. Thank you, Annette. I appreciate the sticker. I think they're called super stickers or something like that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. Has Kim given me the wind up? She hasn't, which is okay. There's a question from Sir Stinkalot. Cool name. Very good. Hi, Gavin. Do you have any experience with natural cheese making? Not a lot. Not a lot of experience. There's a great book by David Asher called The Natural Way of Cheese Making or something like that. Just look for David Asher on Amazon and you will find lots of methods. Great little book. I haven't tried it. You can make lots of cheese with kefir grains and all that sort of stuff. And he uses exclusively raw milk, which I can't get my hands on, which is basically why I haven't used any of his recipes. Okay. Donna says, my sister-in-law received a cheese press for Christmas that has no weights. It just recommends to crank till resistant. She is panicking. Can you please address crank until the resistance? I hope they didn't get the one from me because mine's got a spring in it, and it tells you how it works. Kim, if you can find the video on, it's called How My Cheese Press Works or something like that. And it shows how I estimate the different weights. So that works. Kim's given me the wind up. So yes, dear. Oh, we got Hamish. Oh, and there's a super chat as well. You brushed him. All right. Bring him in. This one's from, hang on, we'll just do the super chat from Jim. Bring him in, honey. Jim says, I almost missed you again. I hate these time differences. Greeting my king and queen, Gavin and Kim. I trust you're all well. Oh, God, he's a wiggly worm today. And it's great. He's been sleeping. It's great that you opened up USA, Canada, international shipping. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it, mate. And thank you, Hamish. You're a lovely little doggo. Thanks, everybody. Kim's put links in the YouTube chat for merch and stuff like that, and for our shop. But yes, thank you so much, everybody, for watching today. It's been lovely. Without the show, without you in the show, there wouldn't be a show. There wouldn't be any questions to answer, so it'd be pretty boring, wouldn't it? So thank you, everybody, for turning up. Stop biting me, Hamish. Thank you so much, everybody. And we will see you next time. All things being well, there'll be a show again next week, same time, same channel, and all that. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.